Hey folks, if you're back to look at video number 5 in my update progress, I want to say thank you for following along and coming in and checking out what I'm up to. On my last video update, I talked about pulling the tranny. Well, there it's sitting on a bench right there. Tranny is out. I talked about a noisy bearing that I heard when I was pushing the clutch in and out, and I wasn't sure if it was maybe the input shaft of the transmission, maybe an input shaft bearing, or maybe an output shaft bearing. I wasn't sure. Anyways, so I pulled the tranny because I wanted to reseal it anyways. I wanted to get in there and find out what the noise was, and the tranny had some general leaks, which is normal for something that is, what, 80, what's this car, 82 years old coming up. So I just thought I'd share kind of what I did. I jacked the car up, of course, not very high. You can see I got my jack stands down there, and just gave me enough clearance to get under there. Didn't need much. The next thing I did was I followed along in my manual, original shop manual. The seat was already out, as you can see. We've torn some upholstery apart here. We're getting ready to tackle the upholstery. My wife is working on that downstairs actually right now while I make this little video. The seat was out already, the carpet was out, so all I really did is took out some screws out of the floor panel, and I was just wowed by the access that I was able to gain by taking out the floor panel. It was just awesome. I've never worked on a car with that much access to the transmission and the area underneath there once it was pulled out. I've never actually been able to pull a floor apart like that before, so I thought I'd share that. I'm trying to get the light right here for everybody. Really, really good access. So that's my clutch there. On the frame, of course, you can see. Pull the speedo cable. Rear motor mounts down there are dry and cracked. I've ordered new ones. I'm going to replace those. There's upper and lower mounts there on that support beam. Let's see, my master cylinder is leaking a bit. It's down in that area over there. Master cylinder. I'm going to reseal that and go through all my brakes actually. But while I got it apart, what a great time to do the master cylinder. I might as well get in there and do that while I got the floorboards apart, because the access is awesome. So again, stuck my hand in the hole there in the back of the tranny. That's the clutch housing, and you can see a little bit of the shift fork sticking out of there for the throwout bearing. And I grabbed that bearing, and sure enough, that's what it was. It was dry and sounding, and listen to this. Shouldn't make that kind of noise. So you get that turning at idle speed, the engine's 1,000 RPM. So whatever, 5 units, 500 RPM, call it. That thing just buzzes nice and loudly. So that has seen better days. It's done. Transmission is on the table there. It's easy, very simple, very unbelievably easy unit to remove. After I pulled off the drive shaft, I took the cover off. The shifter sits on here. The shifter goes right in there actually, and you slide those metal bars back and forth to switch gears. I'm planning to take the cover off. I'm going to reseal this front. This is the input bearing housing here. I'm going to reseal that. I got a new gasket for the top here for the shifter. It was leaking out of there. There's another gasket in behind here I'm going to replace. This is called the park brake housing right here. This is my emergency or park brake assembly. It's not off. I'm going to unbolt it, remove it from the transmission, and replace this gasket here. And there's another seal in there, an output shaft seal. I'm going to replace that as well. And I think that's all I'm going to do to that tranny. It works well. I don't really have any issues with the tranny. Inside the transmission, there's needle bearings. They're just sitting, they're greased and held in place there by the transmission main shaft when it slides in to the gears and area. I see no reason really to do anything with that. Tranny's in neutral. I can actually see the gears down there turning, and it works well. It's just a 3-speed. It's pretty light. I'm gonna guess I'd be surprised if it's even 50 pounds. So here's a spare. I have a good spare throwout bearing. I don't know, I'm trying to decide if I should just buy a new one. They're about $30 US or so for a new throwout bearing on a couple of different websites. This one came in a bunch of parts that I bought used off a guy, and it feels really good. You know, I'm probably gonna, I don't know, maybe put I'd be surprised. I put 1,000 kilometers or whatever that would be, like 650 miles a year on this car, just driving it around locally. That clutch bearing could last me my life. I don't know. And it wasn't hard to change the tranny anyways, so I don't know. I got one here. I kind of hate to throw it out. It feels good. It's original. I might just put it back together with that. Kind of seems silly, I guess, for a $30 bearing, but you got to order it on eBay or some website, and you got to get it shipped here. And what's $30 US turns out I'm in Canada. By the time I had freight, it seems like it's $40 US to ship anything these days. So I'm sitting at 70. I'm looking at $100 Canadian for this bearing, and I have one here, so probably put it back in, try it. What the hell? And I'm not even going to complain if I got to pull the tranny again in 5 years. Who cares? It's such an easy job. I recommend it. It is not hard to pull this tranny. What I use is I have a floor jack, and I had my son, and he's 20. He was up at the top here, and all he did is just kind of just balance the transmission onto the floor jack. I laid under the car, and I had my floor jack jacked up, and I just took a little bit of weight off the tranny, and then I just slid it backwards and slowly let it down. It angled down, and the drive shaft is out, so it cleared the until it was out, and it cleared the clutch housing. I dropped it down, rolled it out, and there it is. It was a simple job. So that's what's new this week. I had fun test driving the car last week, but she's down now for a while. I'm gonna guess, I don't know, by the time I get this tranny, the parts here, and get it back up and running again, the next time you see it running, I might be doing donuts out in the snow or something. Another couple months maybe, because Christmas is coming, and you know, that kind of takes us away from being out in the garage. We really probably should be with our families at Christmas, and not that I don't want to. I do want to be with my family at Christmas, but you're kind of got a couple of old cars and you're into it. You know what it's like. It's just fun being out in the garage and working on stuff. It is, but at any rate, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. Christmas is coming. I'm not going to do a lot of work on my car over the holidays. I'm going to enjoy my family, and then I'll be out in the new year. And probably, like I said, maybe I'll plan on doing some donuts in the snow. See you then.